Joe's a true Gael. He is the epitome, I think, of what it means to be a Gael for life. He advocates for us in every way possible. He has been the ultimate volunteer. Whenever we have asked him to work with us on hosting an event in Orange County, or to go out to an admissions fair at one of the schools in the area that he lives in. Everything good about St. Mary's is what Joe brings to the table.
Well, my grandfather, or as all the grandkids call him, Papa, he's a family man. He's a charitable, spiritual man that is really the backbone of our family. My family's tradition goes way back. My great-grandfather, Joe's dad, went here initially in 1916, back when St. Mary's was the brick pile in Oakland. Some years later, in 1956, is when my grandpa Joe went here. It's, I think, where he's really rooted, where he grew a lot spiritually and matured as a man. When I graduate this year, I will be the 103rd year of O'Connors at St. Mary's, and I'll be the 24th member of my extended family once I graduate.
He has been a loyal annual supporter of the institution. Most recently, he also became a member of our LaSallian Legacy Circle, which is a planned giving effort, and through that, he's going to be able to create a scholarship for Orange County students that will go on in perpetuity. What a wonderful gift he'll be able to create. That's a legacy that is worth pursuing. Joe was one of the early supporters of the baseball stadium. When we were getting ready to build the new Alioto Recreation Center, we knew we needed to move the baseball field into a new location. And Joe, having been a longtime fan of our baseball program, stepped up early on and said, "I'm in," and made a generous commitment to that project, helped us move into the location that we are today. His gift had a ripple effect in terms of encouraging other people to get involved and create the beautiful location that we have now today. Many years ago, Joe got really excited about providing lighting in the chapel tower. The chapel tower has not always been lit, and he brought together a whole group of Orange County alumni to fund the lighting for the chapel tower. And I just think every time now I walk by the chapel tower and I see it lit, I'm going to think of Joe.
He's a charitable guy. He's always implored us to be charitable, really realizing your place in the world and realizing that you have a great opportunity to give back. That's really what he embodies.
His philanthropy has been an important part of what he does to make St. Mary's a better place and to ensure future students have the same experiences that he and his family have had.
On behalf of the St. Mary's Alumni Association, it is my honor to award this year's Golden Gael Award to Joe O'Connor. Congratulations, Papa.
So this is the first year of the Golden Gael Award. We created it because we said Joe is the perfect first Golden Gael Award winner. I think, right?
Yeah.
We wanted to celebrate our alumni that are connected to this college for life, and you are the epitome of that. My first question for you is, your dad went to St. Mary's. Was this always going to be the place for you? Did you consider anywhere else, or was
Yes.
St. Mary's it? You did? I can't believe that.
Yes. No, St. Mary's has always been a very big part of my life because St. Mary's was always a big part of my father's life. As you heard, he's graduated in 1916 along with his brother the same year. I don't know how they graduated the same year. They weren't the same age. Somebody had to flunk a year, probably my father. But anyway, he was never preached that you're going to St. Mary's type thing. Not at all. But he showed me by just what he did. Years ago, before I was born, he recruited football players for Slip Madigan. He was just so proud whenever a Christian brother would be visiting Los Angeles, Brother Albert, Brother Thomas. They would always be at our house for dinner. But when it came time for me to choose a college, I wanted to go to St. Mary's, but my father said, "No, you're not." And he spoke for this reason. This was in the middle of the Korean War. The school, St. Mary's, was just being drafted down to nothing in the way of students because it didn't have an ROTC. So I went to Loyola University, and they had ROTC, so that gave you an exemption. Let's face it, I was a draft dodger. But So during that time, the Corinthian War subsided, and it was time for me to move on from Loyola to St. Mary's very happily. My first 2 weeks at St. Mary's was wonderful. School started then in those days in about middle of September. The weather was glorious, hot, wonderful, and I loved it. The next 3 weeks, it poured rain. I mean, rain to the point where you could not leave the dorm without getting soaked. Coming from Southern California, I didn't have a raincoat, didn't know what rain gear was. But that lasted 3 weeks, and then after that, the sun came out. The hills turned green, then comes the mustard on the hills. It was beautiful. I loved it. In fact, we were such a small class in those days, we would have move outside the classroom, have class on the grass under a tree. The school was so small that you knew everybody, which was really fun. If you didn't, and we did things together. The juniors lived on the third floor of De La Salle. The seniors lived on the second floor of De La Salle. Even Aquinas was closed. That was my junior year. And then the next year we had, this would be 1955, a huge influx of students. They opened up really one floor of Aquinas Hall. The student body was up to sign up to 500. At this same time, you know, what was always amazed me about St. Mary's, small as it was, how we could take on, compete, and beat Cal, Berkeley, USC, UCLA. And this is what always fascinated me. When I was 10 years old, my father took them to the LA Coliseum to see St. Mary's play USC. Herman Wiedemeyer and the guys from Hawaii beat the Trojans 26-0. And that was not a down year for USC either. They went to the Rose Bowl.
Well, we're still slaying giants today. And,
yes.
And one thing I would ask, your connection to St. Mary's extends well beyond your time here as a student. How has it been to watch your legacy at St. Mary's live on through kids, extended family, and now a grandson who's getting ready to graduate from St. Mary's?
It's been a wonderful experience. I have 3 children graduated from St. Mary's. My oldest daughter here today, Colleen, her graduated in '81, I believe. Her sister, Rosemary's, and incidentally, the young man who introduced me is Rosemary's son, who is a senior. He'll be graduating in May and plans to go to law school. But the whole tradition of St. Mary's family is our family. We've had just not our immediate family, but my brother-in-law, who is here today, Jim Cox, his daughter and his granddaughter. His granddaughter is an excellent student. She has applied to St. Mary's and been accepted. In fact, she's been accepted to every place she has applied. So congratulations. Is that enough?
Yeah, no, we are so appreciative.
No, but St. Mary's, they talked about the light in the chapel tower. Okay, fine. We decided we were going to do something about that, so we raised funds to light the chapel tower. That's not my first experience with the chapel tower. During my junior year, there was quite a strong earthquake here. And we said, let's have some fun. My roommate, Bob Shakwa, was the editor of the Collegian. He says, okay, we're going to call the Oakland paper and report the damage here at St. Mary's. So we said, what was damaged? Well, let's say all the statues, it's in the niche of the tower, which when the tower was built, those niches were supposed to contain statues of saints. Never happened, never built, but we knew the background. So we called the Oakland Tribune and said, we want to part of this damage here at St. Mary's. All the statues came down. Within about an hour, there was a TV truck here, and we were out there to meet them, and they said, when we said, yeah, look at all those, they're all vacant, they're all down. And they said, well, where's the mess? Where's all the debris? Oh, it's all been cleaned up. And that got St. Mary's, I'd say, nationwide publicity, because a friend of mine, Paul Kirchhoff from Seattle, he got a phone call from his parents the next day, said, we heard there was a lot of damage at St. Mary's, are you all right? So that was just the fun things we did. This was the advantage of as I say, a small school. We all knew each other. Brother Albert, who was the silver fox, as you remember, he knew everybody by their first name, you know, and he would just walk in your room at night, and if you were having a beer or something in your room, he would just pick up the beer and pour it down the sink and leave. So that was his lesson.
Thank you for your variety of contributions to St.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.